Well guys, if you are looking for the most affordable armor steel bumper for your 14 to 18 Silverado, you found it. Easily put, this will be the least expensive option on the site. However, it's nice to say that this does come with a lot of features that the more expensive options come with. For one, this is all welded, one-piece steel construction, which is nice. It's nice and thick, as you can hear, and it also has a nice black texture powder coat finish. It's not a painted finish. This is nice because this will really hold up on the trails. Now, the other thing I like about this bumper is install. It's very simple, gets 1 out of 3 wrenches on my patented difficulty meter. Should only take you about 30 minutes to an hour. I strongly recommend you have a friend to help you though, because again, this thing is armor, it is very heavy, and as you can see, it attaches with the 2 brackets that I have on the table with me. So, without further ado, we've got our nice Z71 package Silverado behind me. Let's go ahead and get started. All right, so this install again is very easy to do. You can actually do it in your driveway, even with just basic hand tools and a creeper. However, we want to get some good angles and show you all the little nitty-gritty details, so we're going to throw our truck up on the lift so we can get underneath and show you what's going on under there. All right, we've got our truck up on the lift, but before we start removing our bumper, we have to tackle some wiring. I'm referring to the trailer hitch wiring harness as well as the license plate light bulbs. So let's go ahead and head underneath and I'll show you how to get all those disconnected. All right, so your license plate bulbs are located on either side inside the bumper here. You don't need any tools to remove these. You're just going to turn them counterclockwise and disconnect them with your hands. All right, both of our license plate bulbs are removed. Now we're going to remove our trailer hitch wiring harness. I'm going to take a flat screwdriver and pop these out like so. All right, now that we have all of our wiring taken care of, our bumper is disconnected from the vehicle electronically. Now we can start pulling some bolts. The first bolts that we're going to pull are 2 21mm head bolts, and they're located on the bracket that comes off of the trailer hitch tubing and mounts to the frame. You need an extension for this one as well. Now, before we pull the rest of the hardware securing our bumper to the frame, there is one little bolt and nut hidden behind your trailer hitch receiver, and that's a 13mm socket. It's really tough to show you guys, but if you put your hand behind the license plate hole, kind of feel around, it's going to be generally at the bottom of the receiver hitch. It's a really tight space, so you could try and use maybe a 1/4 inch drive ratchet, but I'm just going to go ahead and use a ratcheting wrench. All right, so like I said, it's very hard to show you guys, but this is what that little bolt looks like. And again, there's a nut retaining it inside of here. You don't need to hold that nut on the other end because it is clipped. Again, just need a 13mm ratchet wrench to pull this out. All right, there is one more 13mm bolt behind the spare tire lock right here. It's that same bracket that we pulled on the driver's side. There's another one on the passenger side. So again, go ahead and use that 13mm ratchet to remove that as well. All right, now that that little bracket is out of the way, we can go ahead and disconnect the bumper from the truck. To do that, there's going to be 2 18mm nuts on either side and a 14mm bolt that we have to remove. I'm going to show you guys where those are located. All right, so we're going to start with our 2 18mm nuts right here. All right, and this bolt up here is actually a 15mm. All right, so the bolts and nuts we just pulled from the driver's side, we're gonna do to our passenger side. These are the last 3 pieces of hardware holding the bumper to the vehicle. So when you remove these, make sure you have a friend with you to support the bumper in case it comes falling off. All right, now that we've removed all of the hardware securing the bumper to the vehicle, normally you'd be able to pull the bumper from the vehicle. Unfortunately, some of the newer model Silverados, specifically 14 and newer, require that you actually loosen the bolts securing the bed to the frame. That's going to allow enough clearance for the bracket holding the bumper to be pulled out from the vehicle. Those are 18mm bolt heads. All right, so once you've loosened those 4 bolts, you can go ahead and put the vehicle down. You can have a friend help you by pulling up on the bed a little bit. That should give you just enough clearance so your brackets on your bumper clear. You can pull the bumper from the vehicle. All right, now that our bumper is free from the vehicle, we can start installing the brackets for our new Barricade bumper. But before we do that, since we did have to loosen those bolts securing the bed, we're gonna go ahead and tighten those back up. All right, so our bed's tightened back down. We're gonna go ahead and install the brackets for our new Barricade bumper. They are marked for driver's side and passenger side. You're gonna go ahead and grab 2 of the largest bolts and flat washers that the kit comes with, as well as 2 of the largest locking nylon nuts. And you're gonna slide it into where the original bumper bracket came off. All right, with those large 21mm bolts and nuts securing the bracket to the vehicle, you have one more hole at the top and rear back here. You're gonna use the longest bolts provided in the kit. These are 17mm head bolts. You're gonna grab the appropriate flat washers and the 17mm nuts and tighten those down as well. All right, now our driver's side is hand tightened. We're gonna do the same exact thing to the passenger side with those bolts, washers, and nuts, and then we're gonna drive everything home with our power tools. All right, so like I said, we're gonna go ahead and tighten these down. It is a little bit difficult getting some power tools in here, so I'm gonna keep it simple, just use some hand tools. You need a 21mm socket for that bolt, and you're gonna need a 22mm wrench for the nut on the other side. All right, so those 2 large bolts and nuts are tightened down on either end. Again, those were 21mm sockets, 22mm wrenches. I'm gonna go ahead and tighten down that one long, thinner bolt that we applied earlier with that smaller nut. And again, you're gonna need a 17mm socket and you're gonna need a 17mm wrench. All right, our brackets are tightened down and we can finally start installing the bumper to the brackets. To make it easy on ourselves, because this bumper is quite heavy, we're gonna lower our truck, get it all the way on the ground, and our friend's gonna help us line up those brackets so we can tighten everything down with the provided hardware. All right, so we're now ready to finally bolt our new bumper up to the vehicle. I'm gonna have a friend support the bumper while it's resting on the trailer hitch. I'm gonna go ahead and crawl underneath, and I'm gonna use all of the provided hardware to tighten everything down. Can you slide it over a tiny bit for you? All right, we're gonna go ahead and tighten everything down now. You're gonna need a 19mm wrench for the nuts we just applied, and you're gonna need an 18mm swivel for the bolts themselves. All right, so our bumper is now installed, nice and tight. We're gonna go ahead and plug in our parking sensor plugs because our truck does not come equipped with parking sensors. We're also gonna go ahead and plug in our license plate light, and we're gonna wire it into our existing wiring harness. All right, so like I said, everything's plugged in now. We're gonna go ahead and put our truck back up on the lift so I can wire up that new license plate light. All right, guys, so with our license plate bulb hooked up and our spare tire back in place, that actually wraps up my review and install of the Barricade Extreme HD rear bumper fitting your 07 through 18 Silverado. I'm Travis. Thanks for watching. For all things Chevy, keep it right here at AmericanTrucks.com.